What's going on, everyone? I am Spencer Broad, and welcome back to my podcast called Literacy Talk. On edition 2, I'll be giving you guys some strategies on how to really engage with physical media such as textbooks and notebooks in a time where artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, are so increasingly prevalent, technology too. So I'm going to do that. And then first off, go check out my other episode of this podcast on Parthenon books. I did that a couple of weeks ago. And then for the story, I spoke with Bobby Rome Soroka, an 88-year-old living in Florida, Matthew Cleary, a professor in the Maxwell School at Syracuse, James Watts, a religion professor at Syracuse, and then for my fourth source, I talked with Syracuse sophomore Laura Lemgruber. Are you guys ready to get going? All right, students, have you ever printed out a reading for a class, sat down, and simply underlined everything? I know I have in the past. Well, it turns out we are all doing it wrong. As you see behind me, this is not how you should underline. Everything is underlined, some things in different colors, margin notes too. That is overwhelming. Instead, Syracuse professor Matthew Cleary said the biggest mistake that students sometimes make is underlining everything. He said that underlining everything is basically the equivalent to underlining nothing at all. Instead of doing that, he encourages students to actively engage with the readings and jot down notes related to the author's main argument. In Maxwell 132, the class that Cleary has taught for 10 years, he says the readings involve critical thinking and deep analysis, two things you can't do by underlining everything. He said that people think about what they read a few pages earlier and go back to see if anything is contradictory. Do something like this, back and forth, but instead don't scribble everything like you see in the back here. Have you guys ever gotten like 2 to 3 pages into a really long reading and just kind of said, nope, I'm not really doing this. I'm just going to go to ChatGPT and generate a summary. And then after that, have you ever just like popped out your phone and just like doom scrolled and then you see the clock and it's 9 p.m.? I did that early in high school and I really regret it. I got B's, I got even a few B minuses, but then I learned my lesson. That's probably a mistake we've all made at some point. Anyways, religion professor James Watt suggests students focus on the main points of a text. I repeat, the main points. Say it with me 4 times. Main points, main points, main points, main points of a text, rather than getting caught up in the overly specific details. If you think you're cool by having a stack of 10 pages of notes just kind of flying everywhere and being a mess like that, well, you're definitely wrong, and it's going to show at some point on a test. I'm not trying to be harsh or anything, but that's what Watts suggested. Anyways, in his Bible class, he doesn't test students on very specific dates. Instead, tests are about why the subject matters and what the big picture is, what's kind of the broader significance of it. So after reading 5 pages or so, like for example, section 3.3 in his Bible textbook is about the rhetoric of deterministic history. He suggests everyone jots down the two to three main points covered rather than really underlining everything left and right. He says that he just thinks having like a 10-page stock of notes makes things a lot more difficult, and I think so too, especially preparing for tests. It's just a more arduous process. The next thing to do is to break everything into categories. Whenever I'm taking notes by hand, this is definitely something I do, sometimes even with different color sticky notes. In preparing for possible high school pop quizzes, I assign different colors to different characters and books. For Syracuse sophomore Laura Lemgruber, she splits her readings up into 4 different categories. In her sci-fi Com 350 class, hence why I kind of have an Adobe stock image of a sci-fi themed background. She's learned about new concepts such as social identity theory, and it just overall has like a lot of long, dense readings. And like all of that, it's important because she has like tests on it too. But since it was a relatively new topic for her, she really broke the readings up into specific categories she could focus on, and kind of that were all related to the author's key argument. All right, I need everyone to hear me out. If you get your next history test back and get like a 75, it's probably not because you didn't study. I'm not going to wrongfully blame you for that. Instead, it's probably because you took too many notes, so you couldn't really focus on the main points of what the test was going to be about. As a matter of fact, here's what Cleary said in an interview. You're not a stenographer and trying to create a complete transcript of everything that's been said in our classes. There is absolutely no reason to copy down all the words on the screen. He also added, I think the drive to excessively write everything down actually prevents listening to a certain extent. All right, everyone, I need you to take that advice, and next time you prepare for a test or you're in a class, don't write everything down, please. Just make it easier for yourself. Thank you so much on this episode of Literacy Talk. I'm Spencer Broad.